Well, welcome to the 700 Club. President Trump has led the way in moving the U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. Now it looks as though several other countries are going to follow his lead and relocate their embassies there as well.
And here at home, many Democrats supported the idea of moving our embassy to Jerusalem in the past, but they criticized, excuse my voice, they criticized President Trump once he actually made the decision. Jennifer Wishon has the story.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's already in touch with other countries that want to follow President Trump's lead and recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and move their embassies there.
I call on all countries that seek peace to join the United States in recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and to move their embassies here.
Already, reports indicate the Philippines, Hungary, the Czech Republic, and India are all moving in that direction. Despite international criticism, officials at the White House are taking a victory lap for what they're calling the president's courageous and bold move. Does the fact that he kept his promise give him more credibility when negotiating in the Middle East?
Certainly, I think one of the abilities to follow through on something you've committed to, as the president has done. But also, let's not forget that this was something that Congress voted on starting back in 1995 and has reaffirmed 10 separate times over the last 20 years. This is something that the president took action on, a very courageous and bold action.
But some of the Democrats who supported measures to move the embassy to Jerusalem in the past seem to be betting Trump wouldn't keep his word. The president called their bluff. Senators Bernie Sanders of Vermont, Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, Dick Durbin of Illinois, and Dianne Feinstein of California have all criticized the president's action. Not only did Senator Feinstein vote in favor of the 1995 Jerusalem Embassy Act, she was a key player in its passage. She's the senator who inserted the waiver provision that allows the president to delay the embassy move in the interest of national security, which secured the votes of 10 additional Democrats who were on the fence, giving the bill a veto-proof majority. Now she's calling the president's decision to move the embassy terrible. However, if Democrats followed their party platform, they'd support the president. The 2016 platform says while Jerusalem is a matter for final status negotiations, it should remain the capital of Israel, an undivided city accessible to people of all faiths. Similar language appears in the party's 2008 and 2004 platforms. President Trump says his actions are part of his new strategy to achieve a peace deal. Prime Minister Netanyahu says peace is not possible without Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Well, it's an incredible time for Israel, an incredible time for Jerusalem, an incredible time as well for Christians around the world, because literally in our generation, we're seeing biblical prophecy being fulfilled. First, 70 years ago, can a nation be born in a day? And in 1948, yes, indeed, a nation was born in a day. And then Jerusalem reunified, the prophecy of Jesus fulfilled. Jerusalem no longer trodden under the foot of the Gentiles. And now, here's one for you. It's Isaiah 60. Arise, Jerusalem, let your light shine for all to see, for the glory of the Lord rises to shine on you. Darkness as black as night covers all the nations of the earth, but the glory of the Lord rises and appears over you. All nations will come to your light. Mighty kings will come to see your radiance. Look and see, for everyone is coming home. Your sons are coming from distant lands. Your little daughters will be carried home. And that is happening today as we see Jews returning to the homeland, to Israel, as we see nations now establishing their embassies in Jerusalem. Kings will come, nations will come. It's a wonderful time. Well, not everyone is celebrating. Palestinians took to the streets again today to protest President Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Ephraim Graham has that story from the CBN Newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, hundreds of Palestinians clashed with Israeli security forces in the West Bank cities of Bethlehem, Hebron, and Ramallah after Friday prayers. But Jerusalem itself was relatively quiet after Muslim prayers on the Temple Mount. Chris Mitchell brings us the story from the Damascus Gate in Jerusalem.
With threats of terror attacks and calls for rage, Israeli security services prepared for the worst. But at midday, things were relatively quiet in Jerusalem.
Our units are located and can respond if necessary. We're hoping that this afternoon will continue to be relatively calm and quiet, and that Israeli police won't have to respond to any illegal or violent demonstrations.
This is the Damascus Gate just outside the walls of the old city of Jerusalem, historically a place where there's been major disturbances. But so far today, just minor skirmishes and this crowd behind me chanting slogans. One slogan called for martyrs and suicide attacks. This Muslim man expressed his view of Jerusalem's future.
Jerusalem will be the capital of the world for Islamic Emperor. We will write the justice for everybody all over the world.
Rioting broke out in the West Bank and Gaza on Thursday with chants of Trump, "You will see, Palestine will be free." And clashes continued on Friday in Bethlehem and the West Bank. Palestinians consider all of Jerusalem to be theirs and want at least the eastern section of the city, including the old city's Temple Mount, Western Wall, and historic churches, to be the capital of a future Palestinian state. Following Trump's speech, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas called for 3 days of rage. Abbas traveled to Jordan on Thursday to rally Arab support against Trump. He said that Trump had effectively withdrawn the U.S. from its role as a fair mediator between Israel and the Palestinians.
We believe America, with this position, has distanced itself greatly as a political actor in the Middle East because it will not get back its previous role here.
In Jordan, where more than 60% of the population is Palestinian, Jordanians protested outside the U.S. Embassy. And in Iran, demonstrators condemned Trump's decision, and Iran's leaders called for another intifada. Another senior Palestinian official, Jibril Rajoub, said that Vice President Mike Pence is not welcome in the Palestinian areas when he visits later this month. Pence was due to meet with Abbas in PA-controlled Bethlehem, but Rajoub said the meeting would not take place. In his speech, Trump said 2 decades of not moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem hadn't brought peace. His team reportedly believes that the Palestinians and other Arab countries' need for the U.S. at this time is strong enough to weather the current storm. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
The House of Representatives took a major step forward this week to stopping your tax dollars from being used to reward Palestinian terrorists. The so-called pay-to-slay payments have happened for years, but the parents of an American killed by a Palestinian terrorist have been speaking out, and they've pushed Congress to take action. Abigail Robertson brings us this story now from Washington.
Stuart and Robbie Forrest were heartbroken to learn their son Taylor died in Israel, stabbed by a Palestinian terrorist. Those feelings became worse when they learned the assailant was hailed as a hero and richly rewarded for the murder of their son through money from U.S. taxpayers.
It was something totally foreign to us. We couldn't really process that. We still probably can't.
It's a surprise to many. The Palestinian Authority gives terrorists or their families monthly payments and benefits like health care, paid for in large part by the millions in foreign aid handed out by the U.S. each year. Rewards from the ongoing practice, known as pay-to-slay, go even higher depending on the brutality of the crime.
There were some videos that we weren't aware of showing the celebrations in Palestine.
But the forces want their son's death to have meaning, and they're pushing lawmakers to pass the Taylor Force Act, which would cut off U.S. aid to the PA until it stops rewarding terrorists.
This is a legacy for him, but we feel that this is what he would have wanted us to do.
They watched from the House floor this week as lawmakers unanimously passed the bill.
This acts as an incentive to terrorism, and this must stop. And that's what this bill will do. More money is going to terrorist payments than goes to the entire civil service of the Palestinian Authority.
Following the House vote, the forces hope to see it pass the full Senate and make its way to the president's desk. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
And we'll continue to follow this story for sure. Gordon?
Well, we want you to support this story. We want you to support this bill. It's time to end the state-sponsored terrorism that's coming out of the Palestinian Authority. This isn't something new. It's something they've been doing for decades. And when you understand it's a culture that glorifies terrorism, that they name streets after terrorists, that they dedicate squares in Ramallah to terrorists. And this isn't something long ago, decades ago. This is recently, in the past year, they put up a monument to the refrigerator bomber. And this guy, what he did is he packed a refrigerator with explosives, and he goes onto Zion Street in Jerusalem and blows it up and kills 15 innocent people. And somehow or other, that makes him a hero, someone that to be recognized. Well, this needs to end because this is being paid for by U.S. tax dollars. That means you and I are supporting it. And it's time to rise up and let our representatives know, no, you don't get to do that. You don't get to take our tax money to pay for terrorism. So we have two things that we want you to do. We get the graphic up. We've got a website for you where you can go and sign a petition. We want to present that petition to Congress, to the Senate right now, because that's where the bill is. There's probably going to be a conference, but we need to stop our tax money going for terrorism and end pay to slay. And if you want to be a part of it, you can go to cbnnews.com/faithinaction or just call us 1-800-700-7000. Now, here's something more. Because it's right now active, the Senate's going to be taking it up the coming week. We want you to call your representative, your senator. There's a special number for it, 202-224-3121. Call the Capitol switchboard. That's the number for the Capitol switchboard. Ask to speak to your senator and say, I want to voice my support to the Taylor Force Act. That's what we're calling for. We need to end pay to slay, but it's the Taylor Force Act. So call 202-224-3121. Let your voice be heard.